Welcome to the Retro Graveyard. This time we have the Amstrad VCR 9000 from around 1985. This caught my eye recently when I attended Retrotech UK. I hadn't seen one like it before, so I brought it home with me. So let's have a closer look. When researching for this video, I didn't find any photos, information or manuals I could download for this VCR. The only reference to this model was a listing on eBay for the service manual, which I then purchased. I'm guessing this probably isn't that unusual, and there are quite a lot of products that were made in the past that nobody has posted about online. Or I have the rarest VCR ever. Or maybe they were just so badly made that most of them ended up being thrown away. I mean, it is an Amstrad after all. They weren't exactly known for their high-end products. From what I can gather, Amstrad probably didn't even manufacture this, and it could have been made for them by another company. I can see it was made in Japan, and there is a date that is stamped on the board that reads 8/5/9/26. As Japanese dates are reversed compared to the UK date system, that would be the 26th of September 1985. So that would make this 38 years old as of the date of this video. While researching, I came across another VCR from around the same time labelled as Multitech. It's almost identical with exactly the same input and output layout on the back. I didn't find out anything about this manufacturer. It could be the original one or just another rebadge. Back to this one. The front has an eye-catching design I haven't seen before, with its large buttons, and while not colourful themselves, still stand out with the coloured border that the record, play and stop buttons have. I'm assuming this would have come with a wired remote, as there is a socket for one on the front here. The first button we come to though is eject, then the function button, otherwise known as the power button. Then along the front, record, rewind, play, fast forward, stop and pause. There is a noise cancel button, which I think I'm right in thinking is to improve the picture when playing a video. Then we have the electronic memory counter. This is to store in memory a part of the video you want to return to. There is also a clock counter button to switch between the counter and the clock on the display. The LCD display shows when there is a tape loaded, when it's playing, the time and day, and helps with programming recording times. The buttons below the screen are for changing between the channel you are recording. Behind this door are the controls you need to set the clock and to set recording times, which I will demonstrate later in the video. On the back we can see it has a built-in power lead, followed by aerial in and RF out, a test signal switch for tuning in your TV, and channel signal adjustment screw. Then there's a switch for recording from auxiliary or the built-in tuner. A camera pause socket, I can only assume was for use with a camcorder, and it uses two BNC connectors for video in and out. I have used a BNC to RCA adapter to connect to the front of my TV. There are two RCAs for audio in and out. So on plugging in the VCR, nothing seemed to be working, so I thought I'd have a look inside and see if there was a blown fuse. I found that this fuse had blown and I replaced it, and then the VCR would power up. When I first played the tape, I couldn't make out what was playing. It was as bad as a screen like this. So taking a look at the head drum, it had a lot of dust on there as well as the other heads. So I gave them all a clean using some IPA. After that I had a pretty decent picture. I don't know much about circuit boards, but I will point out for anyone that's interested that this had a couple of Sony chips on here and a Sharp chip. The Sharp one, according to the service manual, is a system control chip. It seems that this controls the record, pause, play, fast forward and rewind functions amongst others. The manual also shows the spec, and here it is. It mentions here that it has a PAL colour signal, two rotary heads, it uses 75 ohm BNC connectors for video in and out, and it weighs 10 kg. Now let's have a look how this VCR functions. It has the usual play, record, fast forward and rewind, but behind this panel are some extra buttons for setting this VCR to record at certain times from a set channel. There are 8 numbered buttons here. Back in 1985 in the UK, as some of you will know, we had only 4 channels that could be tuned in. So using the controls under this top panel, each channel could be tuned into each numbered button. Then when a timer was set, the VCR could record that channel separately to whichever channel you were watching on your TV. It's actually a Freeview feed that I've hooked up for this demonstration, and I've connected up a Mega Drive for the other. If you would like to know how I achieved this, then keep watching. If not, you can skip to the next chapter. So this is how I tuned Freeview and the Mega Drive in using the built-in tuner on the Amstrad VCR. First of all, I used another newer VCR with a SCART socket to plug my Freeview device into. Here I have the auxiliary out from the Amstrad going to the back of my TV, although I use a different TV in the video you just watched and plugged it into the front. Then I have an aerial lead going from the RF out on the other VCR to the aerial in on the Amstrad VCR. This is because the signal from the Freeview box going through the other VCR will be converted to an RF signal that I can use to tune in on the Amstrad. Then for the second channel, for which I have used a Mega Drive, I have plugged the RF out from this to the aerial in on the other VCR. This will then also output through the RF out on the other VCR, and I will be able to tune that in as well. I could also have plugged in another RF source into this RF in socket on the Mega Drive lead and tuned in a third channel. There are probably other ways to achieve the same results, but I'm just working with what I have here. Alternative these days, if you really wanted to, it's possible to connect a Freeview box to the auxiliary on the back and record directly from that feed. This is how I would achieve this with the Freeview device I have. So I have a regular phono lead. I'm using red for video and white for audio. This will plug into the video and audio in the back of the VCR. The other end will plug into this SCART adapter. I need to connect this to my Freeview device. It needs to use the SCART out on this in order to work. I can't use the RF out on this as it will only work with a digital TV. To plug these two together, I need this female to female SCART connector. Now this will send a signal to the audio and video input on the VCR. There is a switch here, as I showed you earlier, to switch from the tuner to auxiliary. Then to see everything on the TV screen, I have used the auxiliary out on here. For this TV, I needed a SCART adapter. When using the auxiliary, the channel buttons won't be in use anymore. As you can see here, I now have the Freeview coming through the auxiliary on the VCR and onto this TV. Now back to setting the clock and recording. It's well laid out and you just need to follow the buttons that are numbered in order to set the clock or recording time. So to set the time, press 1 and day, 1 and H for hour, and 1 and M for minute. And to record something, start and day, start an hour, minute, then the same for the end time. Then select the channel you want to record, as it won't change it over itself, and then press time will record. This VCR will let you set just one time and channel, not like later VCRs that set multiple times and switch channels automatically. So now the timer is set, it should start to record in a moment, and then when it reaches its end time, the recording will stop. For an immediate record, you can press the quick record button to start. It will allow you to set the amount of time to record by repeatedly pressing the button to the required length of time. Or press record and play together to achieve the same. So that was the Amstrad VCR 9000 from 1985. Despite being Amstrad branded, it has obviously lasted all these years, so it can't be that bad, can it? Well, the guy I brought it from did say he had it in the loft for quite a few decades at least, so it hadn't been in any use in a long time. Anyway, regardless of that, it's still here and it's working fine, and I have to say I really like the front panel design. It certainly screams of mid-1980s, which I love. If you would like to be told when I have a new video, please subscribe and press the notification bell. Now, I'm off to see what else I can find in the retro graveyard. Thanks for your attendance.